Sam Rosen, Bill Moss, Chris Myers at the Metrodome on NFL kickoff weekend. We start the fourth quarter with the Vikings at midfield. 2nd and 2, leading the Cowboys 28-17. Culpepper short drop, waits, and throws for Marcus Robinson, incomplete. Covered by the rookie Jacques Reeves. Marcus Robinson, who was injured and missed 3 weeks of preseason, and just getting back into good shape right now. He really fills out that core of receivers.
Well, it does, and like I said, I think between the 3 of them over there on that side, and the side opposite Randy Moss, between Nate Burleson, Kelly Campbell, and Marcus Robinson, I really think it's for the first time they've got a good balance to the other side of the field.
3 wide receivers in. The handoff is dropped. Ontario Smith recovers, but he's tackled for a loss. And the Vikings come up short and will be forced to punt. Only the 2nd time they failed to convert on 3rd down in the game.
Dante Culpepper was telling me that sometimes Ontario Smith likes to take the handoff with his hands instead of opening up his basket and putting it in there. That time it wasn't. It just bounced out of the basket. It looked like he had the wrong basket, too. It looks like he had his near side closed.
The other Australian kicker, Darren Bennett, his 10th year in the league, first with the Vikings, 2nd punt of the game.
Yeah, I was going to say, we haven't seen too much of him.
Wobbly kick, taken on the run by Dedrick Ward. Gets across the 30 to the 31. And the Cowboys will try to close the gap, down by 11. Tuesday on Fox. La Jolla, the producers of Fear Factor, bring you reality's most compelling new series, The Next Great Champ. Tuesday at 9, 8 Central here on Fox. Cowboys from the 33. Testaverde with time. Outside for Terry Glenn. He's inbounds with a catch at the 39-yard line.
Boy, that offensive line of Dallas does such a good job of picking up the blitz, or wherever they bring the 5th or 6th pressure from. I mean, they're just right in, honed in on it. I mean, Testaverde sits back there. Every one of his drops almost have been comfortable. Look at the horse he's on. And what I mean horse is the way he straddles his legs in his setup. He's always comfortable enough to settle into the horse.
And he hasn't been sacked in the game. 3 wide receivers for the Cowboys. On 2nd down, it's Richie Anderson. Got outside and got a 1st down. Up to the 46-yard line. Flag on the play. Holding against Dallas. Their 6th penalty of the game.
Holding, number 76, offense. 10-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
That's Flozell Adams again, 2nd time. Oh, he's steaming, as Bill Parcells right now. Let's go to the sideline to Chris Myers.
Sam, if the Cowboys come back, they'll need Testaverde to continue to air it out. When he started his 18th season, he was only the 10th NFL quarterback to do that. At age 40, one of the ways he's revitalized himself is because of a foam insert. He's had numerous foot surgeries. He designed this insert with a podiatrist from New York. He says it's helped him push off his foot better. He's overcome vertigo and other things like that, being colorblind, and he feels better than ever.
Thanks, Chris. Richie Anderson split wide. Testaverde for Jason Witten, off his hands, well covered by E.J. Henderson, the middle linebacker. Bring up a 3rd and long for the Cowboys.
Yeah, Chris was talking about that insole, and for a guy that's after in his 40s, he's going to be 41 here in November, Sam, and all the wear and tear your lower extremities go through playing this game, and I don't care what position you are. You're out there, you're always on your feet, you're always running around. That spur or whatever he had underneath the ball of his feet caused such a problem, a pinched nerve for the last 2 years. He said he couldn't drop back and set up.
There's the big 3rd down play. Blitz coming. Antonio Bryant up close to the 1st down. Let's see where the spot is made. Good effort by Antonio Bryant. This is going to be very close to the 1st down line. His 5th catch. Testaverde got good protection by the offensive line.
I've been talking. You're right, Sam. They did. I've been talking about the ability for this offensive line to pick up the blitz. And when they do, Vinny Testaverde sits back there unscathed, unpressured, unchallenged, and just waits for the hot receiver. That time they brought Brian Russell on the blitz, one of the safeties.
Nose of the football. First down, Dallas.
You take a look, Russell's going to come right in here. He's going to come edging up on the blitz. See him working his way up? Here comes the blitz. And look where it comes, right where he was. Antonio, they always tell the quarterback one of the things is you throw to where the blitz is coming from, because that's where there's going to be one less guy. And he just waits for Antonio Bryant to go right back where the safety was.
Empty backfield again. Anderson way wide to the left on first down from the 43. Testaverde short to Antonio Bryant. Hard hit by Brian Williams. Knocked him out of bounds. Just short of midfield. Oohs and ahs from the crowd on that hit. But Bryant got up after his 6th catch. Oh, these teams.
Look at this here. That's
big hit.
That's like a shot of Old Crow at 7 a.m.
Steve Martin and Chris Hovan are the tackles for Minnesota.
Talk about an eye-opener.
On that hit. Again, same formation. Empty backfield. Blitz coming. Outside of Keyshawn Johnson for a first down. Dallas moving the ball. Antoine Winfield on the tackle. 8 catches in the game for Keyshawn. Bill Parcells said, I don't care what happened in Tampa. They traded Joey Galloway. He knows Keyshawn. He's comfortable with him. He says he's one of the most competitive players who's ever played for him. And Keyshawn thus far off to a good start. 3 wide receivers. Richie Anderson in the backfield. Eddie George has not played in the second half. It's Richie Anderson getting outside and brought down for no gain. There is a flag on the play.
Yeah, and I don't, those outside perimeter runs, they're not working against Minnesota. Minnesota has some good speed at linebacker in E.J. Henderson, in Dontarius Thomas. These guys are 4'5", sub 4'5" guys. They get into the perimeter.
Number 90 of the defense. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That's against Steve Martin, the defensive tackle. So defensive holding means an automatic first down for the Cowboys. Steve Martin brought in as a free agent.
Well, this is one of the emphasis they put in last year, is when you grab the center, you grab the guard, you don't let him get up on the linebacker. See, he didn't let his guard or center get up on the linebacker, and E.J. Henderson was the one that made the tackle. That was a good call. Nice job, umpire.
How did you handle that when you were playing nose tackle?
Well, they didn't emphasize the rule then.
Okay.
You grabbed everything you could, man.
2 tight ends in for the Cowboys, but they whistle for a timeout. 10:43 to go, 4th quarter. Vikings with an 11-point lead. Ted Cottrell's job is to find a way to stop Vinny Testaverde, but he spent 3 years as defensive coordinator in New York with the Jets, and Vinny was there, and they have great mutual respect and admiration for one another. That was before the game. Testaverde has passed for 271 yards. Rhett Nelson is in at cornerback number 38 for the Vikings. Pressure. Testaverde to Antonio Bryant. And the ball is wrestled away. It's incomplete. E.J. Henderson all over Antonio Bryant. Boy, Henderson has had an active game for the Minnesota Vikings in his first start at middle linebacker.
He's been everywhere, good and bad. This is a tough catch for a receiver. And normally these routes right here are Keyshawn Johnson territory. But you can see what happens. Antonio Bryant pulls that ball down as he tries to duck to get down, because he knows he's going to get clobbered in there. And he does get clobbered. And that ball pops out during the collision.
2nd and 10 for the Cowboys. 2 tight ends in. Richie Anderson in the backfield. Testaverde under pressure. Backing up and then throwing. Keyshawn went up to try and get it, and Brian Williams got a big piece of him and had some words afterwards. Brian Williams limping a little bit, coming off a sprained knee, but he's been a big factor.
Oh, man. I mean, these guys, receivers and DBs on both sides of the coin here, have been getting after it big time.
Well, you wonder how he can get up after that one. Look at that. Man. 3rd and 10. The rookie Darian Scott out of Ohio State. 3rd-round draft pick is in at defensive end for the Vikings. Listen to the crowd. Testaverde to Keyshawn. And he holds on after the big hit by Brian Williams for a first down. Dallas at the 19. This man is not afraid to play in traffic.
Well, first of all, they stunt up front. Watch the stunts, the twist with the linemen. They're coming after. Look at Johnstone looping around. He's standing in the middle. But the line gives him protection, and we were just talking about Keyshawn Johnson and his ability to go over the middle and the pride he takes in going over the middle. You can say a lot of things about Keyshawn Johnson, but I'll tell you a lot of things that you won't see receivers do, and that's block on the perimeter like he does and catch the ball in the middle of the field like he does.
9 catches, over 100 yards. Richie Anderson on first down, not much. Keyshawn, 9 catches, 112 yards. The ball popped loose. Vikings think it did. Was it down by contact? Was it wrestled? No, the Vikings have taken it away. It looked like Richie Anderson was down. The ball was taken away. Antoine Winfield comes out of the pile with a football.
And I just, you know, I don't understand the perimeter runs. Antoine Winfield, helmet on the ball, pops out. That's one thing I've said about this kid, that he's a corner that will tackle. A lot of corners just like to run and play cover and play man. That guy will stick his head in there.
Big defensive play by the Vikings.
Fox NFL Sundays brought to you by DirecTV. 12 million fans and counting.
First turnover of the game, Bill.
And watch number 26 stick his head in there.
Big
5'9", cover corner guy isn't afraid to do that. That's worth every dime they paid for him in free agency, because they didn't have that before.
Kelly Campbell in at wide receiver for the Vikings. Culpepper off the play fake. Waiting. Short to Jermaine Wiggins. Turns it upfield into a nice gain to the 33-yard line. Pick up a 14 on the play. Brady James took him down. There is Antoine Winfield, the man that the Vikings targeted. He had an agreement with the Jets, but nothing was put down on paper. Ted Cottrell helped recruit him. A couple of the players called him.
Dante Culpepper, Randy Moss.
2 tight ends for the Vikings. Wiggins in motion. Culpepper checking off. Mo Williams behind Matt Burke. Slipped a couple of tackles, gets up to the 37-yard line. Leroy Glover made the stop. We haven't called Leroy Glover's name much. Pro Bowl tackle.
Not since the first series. You know, and you know, that offensive line in Minnesota plays so well, and they've been playing together for a long time. You know, Leroy Glover's been a guy, and they're thin at defensive tackle. He's had to play a ton. Leonardo Carson is out. He's suspended. So it leaves them. They had him get Chad Eaton, number 99. They signed him literally like 2 weeks ago. And they said, yeah, we need a guy who's going to come in and play 20, 25 snaps a game. He's playing primarily the whole game now.
Mo Williams limping off. And earlier I mentioned they picked up Chris Cooper, a defensive end from the Oakland Raiders, in a deal last night. He has not joined the team, but will be with them tomorrow. Ontario Smith in the backfield. 2nd and 5 for the Vikings.
This is a shot down. It's where you take a shot.
Culpepper. Nate Burleson to the Cowboys' 44-yard line. Terrence Newman made the tackle, but Culpepper has spread it around beautifully today. And Kleinsasser gets up limping. That's a bad sign.
Well, his knee was bothering him after the first series, actually. He's been hopping around out there. I think he stung it again. But, you know, that's that compliment I told you about Sam on the other side. And I said, you know, heard me say right before there, this is a shot down. This is where you take your shot. At 2nd and 5, you have the opportunity to go ahead and spread these guys out and take a shot downfield, because you're going to have the opportunity 3rd and 5 to come back and do whatever you want with Dante Culpepper behind center.
Rookie free agent tight end Richard Owens, number 89, is in. Culpepper deep for Kelly Campbell. What a catch! Touchdown Vikings! A spectacular catch by the speedy Kelly Campbell. 5 touchdown passes in the game. A personal best for Dante Culpepper.
I hope if you had him, you played him in your fantasy football league.
Whoa! Dante putting that one out there. Man, have we seen some catches.
I was talking about that other wide receiver position and what a compliment I think it's going to be to this year. There's flags on the field because of demonstration. You know, that's the one thing they're going to enforce, is demonstrating.
That's what Mike Tice is upset about. One player can celebrate. Once you get something involving 2 or more players that's choreographed with dancing,
right,
they're going to flag them.
After the touchdown, unsportsmanlike conduct. Taunting. 68-12. The touchdown is good. The penalty will be enforced on the kickoff.
That's Mike Tice wanting to enforce discipline on his team. He's got some young players. Campbell is a guy that you always hear in the locker room. Then Dante Culpepper, 43-yard touchdown pass to Kelly Campbell. Campbell's first catch of the game, and Culpepper's 5th touchdown pass of the game. And the Vikings, who ranked number 1 in offense last season, pick it right up this season. 35-17. Culpepper gets time and puts it right out there. Kelly Campbell, great catch.
I believe I'd have to celebrate with him. That was one heck of a catch.
Kelly Campbell averaged 20 yards, 20.1 yards per reception last season.
Led the NFL.
That's right. Scored 4 touchdowns. And in his first catch today, a touchdown. Morton Anderson kicking off from the 15. Cowboys will get good field position. On the return, Rashard Lee gets across the 45-yard line.
Well, you mentioned Kelly Campbell, and I mentioned Marcus Robinson and Nate Burleson, and I think for the first time, as you can see the numbers, when Chris Carter was here, I was pretty even. How they got it to both receivers. In the last 2 years, way lopsided to Randy Moss, and teams figured out ways to slow him down. But today, the balance that they're showing that they're going to have this year, first to Robinson, then to Campbell, and Nate Burleson's going to get in this fold as well, folks. Boy, that's a lot of powerful weapons for you on a balanced offense.
Testaverde, as the Cowboys have a long way to come back. Jason Witten on the reception, a first down for Dallas at the Vikings 43.
Take a look today at the receivers. Receptions today.
And Culpepper is connected with 9 different receivers in the game. Ontario Smith, a touchdown. Randy Moss has scored 2. Kelly Campbell. Cowboys at the Vikings 43. Under pressure, Testaverde's arm was hit. Kelechi Udeze got in there. He's shaking up a little bit as he was being blocked on the play, but he got a piece of Testaverde.
Well, he stuck his arm out there. His body was going one way, and he stuck his arm out to get a piece of Testaverde. That's Kelechi Udeze. He's the first-round draft choice. Look at him get the jump on Tucker, but right there, see how he sticks that arm out? Now it falls on as well, but I think the damage was done as his body was flying by and his arms stretched out, caught a piece of him.
He dropped down in the draft. A couple of teams were interested, but he had shoulder problems and had surgery. Everything was fine, but he dropped down, and the Vikings were thrilled to get him.
Well, he's dropped down right now.
Right now he's hurting.
And you mentioned that shoulder, and that's what happens to pass rushers when your arms extended like that and your body's going as fast as it possibly can one direction, and all of a sudden you stick it out and it hits a stop sign. Something's got to give.
Well, something's going to give in postseason baseball on Fox beginning October 5th. It's the Division Series, and then exclusive coverage of the Championship Series in the American and National League, and of course the World Series. It's all on Fox. Coming down to the wire.
Yes, it is. And Barry Bonds, who smacked $6.99 today.
Man.
$6.99 today, Sam.
That's incredible. Just an incredible number. Vinny Testaverde, his 28th career 300-yard game. 23 for 41, 304 yards, 1 touchdown. Richie Anderson is split out wide. Testaverde looking, nobody open. Chased by Kevin Williams. Oh, man. Looked like the rodeo. First sack of the game, and Kevin Williams, who had 10.5 last year, got him.
Did you see that 315-pound man move? Watch 93. He never stopped. He's battling, hands up in the pass lane, and then when he sees a break, he takes off and runs down Vinny Testaverde. Folks, he's 315 pounds. You know, most of your 315-pounders are on the offensive side of the ball, lumping around a little bit.
The word in the locker room and amongst the coaches is he doesn't know how good he can be.
I'm telling you, as a whole defensive tackle, that's it.
Flags on the play, and the play is stopped. False start against the Dallas Cowboys. So penalties have been a problem.
False start. 77 offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
The right tackle, Torrin Tucker, called.
Yep. And you know why? Because he's having a tough time with the speed of Kenichi Udeza. I'm sorry. He's way outside here. And Kenichi Udeza is getting the jump, Sam, on him. With this crowd noise up and a team having to score a lot of points and score quickly, that's advantage defensive line always. I mean, your ears are pinned back and you're coming after that quarterback.
7 penalties for the Cowboys. They have to get to the Vikings 33 for a first down. Testaverde lets it fly for Terry Glenn, and he almost had it. He was well covered by Brian Williams. Glenn almost had it, just couldn't hang on as he came down. This is a good battle right here. Just fell out of his hands. Brian Williams has had an active game. For a guy who was supposed to be the nickel back and coming off a sprained knee, he has played a lot since Kenny Irvin got injured in the pregame warm-ups. 3rd punt of the game for Matt McBriar. Heads for the sideline and bounces out of bounds at around the 20-yard line. At the 21 is where they'll spot it with a little over 5 minutes to go. Bill Parcells and what he has ahead of him. In the NFC East, the Philadelphia Eagles are playing well today against the Giants. Parcells worked his magic last season in Dallas to get his team to the playoffs. Joe Gibbs got a win with Washington on opening day. He's got Mark Brunell as his #1. The Giants have the quarterbacks, the veteran 2-time Super Bowl winner, MVP, the 2-time league MVP and Super Bowl champion, Kurt Warner, and the young quarterback of the future, Eli Manning. Washington will be at the Giants next week. Ontario Smith up to the 25-yard line. Chris Myers has an injury update. Chris?
Jimmy Kleinsasser has a right knee injury. He's out for the rest of the game. And Mo Williams has a right ankle sprain. He also is out for the rest of the game. Sam?
Had a look at Kleinsasser with an ice bag on his knee. There's Mo Williams giving way to Ontario Smith. 2 tight ends in. Richard Owens, the rookie out of Louisville, and Jermaine Wiggins. Vikings have a big lead and time winding down on the Cowboys. Ontario Smith behind David Dixon. Knocked out of bounds at the 31-yard line, close to the 32. It'll be a first down for Minnesota.
Well, you know, you want a 4-minute back when you get in this situation. You know, you're up 35-17. And Ontario Smith has to learn, keep the ball in bounds. You know, hey, I'm putting you out here. I'm going to run the ball. We're going to pad your stats. You're going to have some nice numbers. All I ask you is don't fumble it and stay in bounds.
Vikings have a tough game in their second one. It'll be Monday night, a week from Monday, at the Eagles. Ontario Smith again, that time hit hard. Good tackle by Leroy Glover. Minnesota Vikings looking to get that good start as they did last season. The Cowboys have not been able to win on opening day since 1999. Lost their
Well,
last
they started
four
out
opening
with
days.
the right idea, Sam, and that was control the ball. But you know what? Penalties started creeping up on them. Mistakes started creeping up on them. And you can't come here and play this Minnesota Viking team in this atmosphere and make those kind of mistakes and have penalties.
Ontario Smith for a couple of yards. The big one to me, Bill, they're up 3-0. They have a 21-play drive, come down and stall, and then the rookie holder, the punter, Matt McBriar, fumbles the snap, and then got an intentional grounding penalty when he did a Gary Yepremian and threw the ball away, and the Vikings turned it around, scored a touchdown.
Right. That's, you know, you're talking a 10-point swing. And with that swing came out a lot of air because I think they had a little momentum going with them. If they could have connected with that, kicked a field goal, you're up 6-0, controlling the clock, the ball, the time of possession, all that stuff. Your plan is working, but when that fell apart, I think it took a lot of wind out of their sails.
On third down, the Cowboys stop Ontario Smith and force the Vikings to punt. Not much time remaining for Dallas. The Cowboys will be home next week as they take on the Cleveland Browns. Winding down to the 2-minute warning. And disappointment written on the faces of the Cowboys. They knew they had a tough one coming in. They showed some things on offense, but defensively they got burned by the passing of Dante Culpepper. 2 minutes remaining. Randy Moss has never lost to the Dallas Cowboys.
And he's been a big part of the reason.
That's right. Darren Bennett's third punt of the game. Pressure on him, but he gets it away, and it's a beauty. Dedrick Ward waves for the fair catch and takes it at the 23. Randy Moss, this is his 5th game against the Dallas Cowboys. He has burned them for 10 touchdowns. He had a huge game on Thanksgiving a couple of years back. 3 catches, all for touchdowns. All were longer than 50 yards. They haven't found a way to stop him. And today, though he's caught 4 passes for only 27 yards, he's caught 2 touchdown passes. 10 touchdown passes against the Cowboys in 5 games. And in a minute 54 seconds, it'll be 5-0, Randy Moss against the Cowboys. That pass by Testaverde gets knocked down.
You know, for Minnesota, I got the opportunity to see what I expected I would see offensively. Great offensive line, a great offensive unit, tight ends that can play, the H-backs. the stable of running backs, which we've seen with Ontario Smith. We saw Mo Williams. We saw Moelle Moore. Randy Moss, and the complement of receivers on the other side. That's been exciting to me.
Richie Anderson gets pulled down as he goes out of bounds at the 28-yard line, and the way he came down, he may have twisted his knee. Pulled down from behind, and he's holding that right knee. Not a good sign. This is a very important player for the Dallas Cowboys.
Take your time with it, guys. Take your time with it.
There's a running back, receiver. Picks up the blitz well, trying to run it off. Eddie George played in the first half. Has not played in the second half. And from what we can tell, it's the coach's decision.
It's been a lot of Rashard Lee.
Yeah. Lee had one great series. Testaverde under pressure. Connects with Terry Glenn, and he rolls up to the 46-yard line. Fourth catch of the game for Terry Glenn. Clock moving at 1.5 minutes to go.
The other thing I've seen that's very encouraging about Minnesota is their defensive play, Sam. You know, Kenichi Daisy. I mean, heck, there's a guy who can come off the edge. You have the speed at linebacker. E.J. Henderson had a heck of a ball game. He was everywhere.
Ball start. Number 77 offense. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Antoine Winfield as well. I'm sticking his head in there, causing the fumble. But I think the one thing you can see is that this team still needs to grow. Still needs to come together. Yeah, they had a comfortable lead throughout the most part of this game. On the other side, you see the Dallas Cowboys. I see some good things there as well.
The thing about Minnesota is that when Dallas came back at him, the Vikings responded. Testaverde hits Terry Glenn again. He's out of bounds at the Vikings 48-yard line. Good start to the season for the Minnesota Vikings. Dallas seems to need to come together defensively, Bill. There's still some big question marks there.
Well, I mean, yeah, they came into the game knowing they're going to have question marks when you have two new guys in the secondary and you're facing Randy Moss. But they kept him, for the most part, pretty quiet. It's the other things that they didn't do well.
But did they do too much to stop Moss and too little to stop the others? Exactly.
And I don't think they realize when you play Minnesota Vikings and you're a defensive back in this league, the only thing you're thinking about is 84. But as we talked about throughout the program, is Minnesota now has the complements on the other side. And you have to account now for Nate Burleson, for Marcus Robinson, and Kelly Campbell.
Testaverde hit after he released. And Tony O'Brien with the catch and out of bounds at the Vikings 38-yard line. Vikings a week from tomorrow at Philadelphia, then home against Chicago. Then it's the bye. They hope to have Michael Bennett back after that. They may be losing Ontario Smith to suspension. Kenny Mixon, we haven't mentioned him. He's suspended for the first 2 games. He'll be back working with the team, or at least he'll be with the team attending meetings beginning Monday. So that will help their defense. Oh, I hate to talk about guys being suspended and outright.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
But it's a fact. It's a fact of life.
This guy's out, this guy's in, he'll be back, then he goes.
We forget how young these guys are at times. False start.
That's 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
That'll be something that'll frost Bill Parcells no end. That's 8 penalties in the game. 9 penalties, excuse me. Over 100 yards in penalties. Yeah, 119 to be exact.
These guys got a long week of that look right there.
Dedrick Ward is in at wide receiver. Keyshawn Johnson has certainly had a good game for Dallas. Testaverde stepping up, and it's incomplete. Today's game produced by Michael Burks, directed by Rich Russo, associate director Tom Yohe, broadcast associate Nara Wang, technical producer Frank Phillips, studio show produced by Scott Ackerson, directed by Bob Levy. The studio technical supervisor is Jack Simmons. The senior producer of Fox Sports is Bill Brown, and the executive producers are Ed Gorin and David Hill. Our spotter in the booth, as usual, is Gary Lynn. Our statistician in the booth, Emmett McGuire. Thanks to them. This is Rashard Lee straight ahead. No gain on the play. Rashard Lee had the one terrific series. Julius Jones was inactive today. He'll certainly be part of the Cowboys' future in their running game. Fans boo as the Cowboys call a timeout with 31 seconds to go in the game. Mike Tice got his team over the hump. A huge disappointment at the end of last season. Players have come in ready. They had good preseason camp. There was a hit on Antonio Bryant. He fumbled and turned the ball over. Vikings recover. Second turnover of the game for the Dallas Cowboys. Bryant had made the catch, and Brian Williams involved on the play. Let's see. Russell and Williams combine on the hit.
But Brian Williams, for a guy that was just going to be a nickelback coming into the game until the injury to Ken Urban in the pregame warmups, and he was forced to play the entire game. I mean, he has gone out and lit some people up today.
Darian Scott, the rookie out of Ohio State, made the recovery on the fumble. Culpepper takes the knee. Eddie George, brought in to be a key running back, ran in the first half, ran well while he was in the game, but didn't play in the second half. I don't think he'll be too happy about that. But the Minnesota Vikings, with 2 touchdowns in the third quarter, added to that another touchdown in the fourth quarter. Huge game for Dante Culpepper, a career-high 5 touchdown passes, defeat the Dallas Cowboys 35-17. We're taking you to San Francisco right now to Kurt Menefee and Tim Green.